regular meeting of the Board of Trustees and Mayor of the Village of Flossmoor. Today is Monday, September 16th. Just a reminder, this meeting is being streamed via Zoom for the convenience of those unable to make it in person. We will be calling for public comment from the sign-in sheet. If and when you are called for public comment, please approach the podium, state your name and your address. Also address the board with decorum and make sure that your comments are addressing the public body as a whole and not a certain member of staff. We also ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes, please, for a maximum total public comment time of 30 minutes so that we can hear from as many neighbors and members of the public as possible. The time is 7:31. Clerk Legava, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bradley Scott. Trustee Daggett.
Here.
Trustee Driscoll.
Here.
Trustee Lofton.
Here.
Trustee Mitros.
Here.
Trustee Mustafa.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Present. Thank you so much. We have a quorum. First item up tonight is consideration of reappointment to the Vice Chair of the Green Commission. Can I get a motion to approve? Thank you so much. Eric Turnquist has served 2 terms on the Green Commission. He is the co-chair of the Green Commission. He's got a Master's of Science in Public Health, specializing in environment and occupational health sciences. He's passionate about serving and volunteering, and one of his goals is to improve the sustainability of our services here in Village Hall going forward. He's been a huge asset on the commission. I'll start with Trustee Lofton. Any comments or questions?
Well, I just had the opportunity to read his resume, and as you indicated, his desire to do some things that enhance our environment and safety as well. I recommend it.
Thank you. Trustee Mitros.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Trustee Mustafa.
Thank you. Eric, at least I don't see him. He's not here, but in his absence, I'd still like to thank him for deciding to stay with the Green Commission. I have had the pleasure and honor of working on volunteer projects with him and value his contributions and input very much. Having been a commissioner to volunteer and to ask to volunteer again, it means a lot to our village. So I thank all those who do such work. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes, Eric serves very enthusiastically, and it's a pleasure to have him renew his services, and glad to have you back, Eric.
Thank you. Trustee Daggett.
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone said. Eric's awesome. So every chance that I get to talk with him, his kids have been around for a long time now. They're off and gone, but Eric's still here. He's still serving the community, which is amazing. So he's at all the events and puts in a lot of hard work. So glad to have him back.
Thank you. Trustee Driscoll.
I echo everyone else's comments. We thank him again for his service and we look forward to working with him again.
Awesome. Clerk Legava, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve the reappointment of Harrison Maddox to the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. Harrison Maddox, this would be his first reappointment. He has worked in a variety of municipal and state government roles. He served as a resident on a steering group for downtown improvements and street safety and has been an asset to the Planning Commission. So I am recommending that he continue, and he enthusiastically would like to. Comments from the board. Trustee Mitros.
I have none.
Trustee Mustafa.
I thank him for being willing to serve. His resume seems to be quite an appropriate fit for the Planning Commission, so thank you again.
Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
I agree. His resume is very thorough. Seeing that he has village work in other communities and has worked in other capacities, definitely supports his knowledge base. So thank you again for renewing your services, and happy to have him.
Thank you. Trustee Daggett.
Yeah, just a lot of these commissions are unsung heroes. They really drive a lot of stuff that the board doesn't have time to do or needs more information on, or we're just not able to do, and they handle it behind the scenes a lot and make the recommendations. So they go unsung. I wish we could hype their names out there more and more because they really do a great job. So anyone who's willing to serve in these capacities is qualified. I'm ecstatic to have it. So.
Thank you. Trustee Driscoll.
Everyone knows they're going to do a great job.
Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Musafa.
Yes.
Trustee Brandon Scott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Next is citizen comment. First, I'll call up or welcome up Warren Ingber. Welcome, Mr. Ingber.
Thank you. My name's Warren Ingber, I'm from Flossmoor. Earlier, I talked about government spending, and I'd like to kind of critique that a little bit more. Are we all supposed to believe that the capitalist system is the only way to produce goods and services, the necessary way to produce goods and services, the universal way to produce goods and services? None of that is true. It's true that the American government gives money overwhelmingly to capitalist enterprises. That means that the check goes from the government of the United States, Washington, and the same applies to states and municipalities. It goes to the board of directors or the owners of an enterprise, the construction company, the university which undertakes courses in education, where it gets help from the government to do so. Whatever the enterprise is, the overwhelming majority of these enterprises are organized as capitalist corporations. They have a small group of people at the top who make all the decisions, the corporate board, the owner, the top executives, or some mixture of those. And they take the money, they get the money from the government, they literally sign the contract with the government for whatever it is the government is spending money on. Then they take that money along with revenues they get from selling to other people, individuals, businesses, and they do what we know they do, and here's what it is. They spend the least they possibly can on workers and on laborers. Why? Because they're in the business of maximizing profits, not wage bills for their workers. They can save by having cheaper workers, they do. They can save by replacing workers with machines, they do. If they can move production out of the country, they do. They try to make the most money they can. They want to grow the business, they want to pay dividends, they want to pay high executive salaries. We went through that. It's clear what capitalist corporations do reproduces the capitalist system, and therefore, what goes with the capitalist system? Enormous disparities between those who live on dividends, capital gains, and executive salaries versus those who live on wages. The gap between Elon Musk and you and me. If we want those qualities of our society to be overcome, we have been asking for at least 100 to 200 years for the inequality of wealth and income in this country to be reduced. Every poll shows it. Americans want much less inequality than they have. But we haven't been able to get it. It's not because we aren't smart or any of those other silly reasons. It's because our capitalist system doesn't work that way. And one of the ways it does work is the government. Think of it as a giant vacuum cleaner, sucking up all the taxes you pay and I pay when we imbibe alcoholic beverages, when we drive on a rubber tire, when we put gas in the car, when we pay our income tax, when we pay our sales tax. All that money collected is then taken by the government and, you guessed it, given to the heads of corporations to do what the society we are told needs. How very nice for them. And here's the solution. Going to borrow from the head of the Labour Party in England, Jerel Jones. He's not the current head. They bounced him out and replaced him with Casper Milquetoast Keith Starmer, who will be another Tony Blair, which is to say, nothing. That's who we got. But Jerel Corbyn had a different plan. Here we go. Well, law will be passed, said Jerel Corbyn, which is why they pushed him out. A law will be passed the minute we win the election and become a government of freedom. The law will say any business that wants to stay as the capitalist business it is can do so. Any business that proposes to change, and by that, he meant shut down or leave the country or merge with another business or go public by issuing shares, any company wanting to make that kind of change would have to offer its own workers something called the right of first refusal. In other words, it has to offer itself for sale to its own workers. If the workers don't make an offer, then they are going to be free to go and do whatever they want. But if the workers are willing to meet the company and pay the price, then they get priority. They can buy the company or the division where they work. press heard this, they became skeptical, not because they're good journalists, but because they're not used to this kind of thinking. They said, well, where will the workers ever get the money? And then Jerry Corbyn and John O'Connell, his chief advisor, smiled and said, we're the government. We'll lend it to them. The government had a lending program specifically here to enable corporations to convert from the capitalist top-down system they were to becoming worker cooperatives instead. The government would lend the workers the money to buy the company and were part of such a conversion. And I continue again next time.
Thank you, Mr. Engelberg. Next, I'd like to welcome Ms. Andrea Perry. Evening.
My name is Andrea Perry, 37-year resident of Flossmoor, in pursuit of the truth behind the hasty and yet to be justified firing of Police Chief Jones. And I love living in Flossmoor. I have loved living in Flossmoor for these 37 years. I appreciate living in Flossmoor. I value living in Flossmoor. I love living in Flossmoor. I'm now driven to protect, nurture, and build Flossmoor. What I witnessed taking place at the board meeting on March 4th and investigating thereafter into how such an atrocity, as well as others, have arisen, is why I'm here at each board meeting making public comments. The way in which our leadership and management is leading and managing is not in alignment with us loving and living in Flossmoor together. The good news is their actions propelled me out of my complacency bubble and blasted me into engagement mode, as I declared in my very first public comment statement on March 18th. Loving Flossmoor, building Flossmoor up and on requires building together. This key and required element is missing in the way our current leadership and management is operating. Instead of embracing and nurturing a building up and on collaboratively and together, they are insensitive, non-responsive, refuse, reject, squash such actions. This is why I'm up here, board meeting after board meeting, making public comments. This is why I've become intensely, passionately engaged. I'm witnessing a leadership and management operating out of sync, out of alignment with loving, living in Flossmoor, with building Flossmoor up and on together. An example of which occurred in the way in which the mayor handled my public comment at the last board meeting. At the last board meeting, as I walked away from the podium after concluding my public comment, the mayor made a curt, offhanded comment. Mrs. Perry, I can assure you that no violations were made. As one of the mayor's constituents, I don't expect adversarial responses from her, which is what her curt, offhanded comment was to me. After spending hours of researching, analyzing, organizing facts to support my conclusions, turning them into written form, practicing to present them, and then presenting them in under 5 minutes, the mayor's curt, offhanded statement was made to nullify all of what I had done and said. I can assure you it did not generate warm, fuzzy, positive relations with this 74-year-old, 37-year-old Flossmoor constituent. An important role of mayor, leader, manager is that of chief of public people services. In that role, you are confronted with continuous differences in wants, needs, demands, approaches, expectations, unlimited differences. An effective leader manager welcomes these differences because they know that having differences is good, because time and time again, the sum is greater than the parts. An effective leader manager knows and can handle differences, whether worked out or not worked out, and adversarial, not divisive. This is what an effective leader and manager does, and does well. Embracing, using, bringing differences together to build up and on and better. This is what I expect and demand from leadership and management of Flossmoor, and we don't have it right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Kiana Jones, welcome.
My name is Kiana Jones, and I have been a resident of Flossmoor for 4 years. I would like to express my concerns about the lack of transparency, divisive nature, and dishonest communication regarding various recent issues in our community. Many residents, including myself, feel that there's been a lack of clear and honest information on many matters. Effective, open, and honest communication for all is crucial for maintaining trust and ensuring that community members are well informed. However, the following issues have been and continue to be handled poorly, lacking inclusivity, honesty, and transparency. Number 1, the termination of Police Chief Jerel Jones. On Monday, March 18, 2024, Mayor Nelson stated, and I quote, "I am confident that when we are able to share all of the facts with you, the community will be supportive of our actions." To date, the community remains in the dark regarding these facts and Chief Jones' unfair and untimely termination. Number 2, the premature departure of Principal Felicia Clockwork. Mayor Nelson seemed to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the many issues and acts of racism that occurred during Principal Clockwork's tenure at IJP. Yet, Principal Charlotte Kelly was welcomed with open arms, which was prominently featured in pictures both on IJP's page as well as Mayor Nelson's Facebook page. This disparity in treatment raises concerns about fairness and consistency. Number 3, inconsistent information on the Heavy Hill Detention Basin. Last but certainly not least, the Flossmoor News Fall 2024 edition dated 8/6/24 reads, and I quote, "In August, the permanent safety fence was installed and the contractor moved on to the last step in this phase, final restoration and project completion. However, the Heather Hill School newsletter dated for September 10, 2024 states, the installation of the permanent fence around the detention basin began Monday and is currently in progress. Here we are, September 16th, and the Heather Hill detention basin is far from completion. Where is the honesty in this? Why the continuous lies which continue to cause divisiveness in the community? This inconsistency goes hand in hand with what we have seen over the last several months, a lack of honesty and a lack of transparency, which contributes to community frustration. I, as well as many others in the community, are requesting detailed and accurate updates on these issues, including any actions being taken in future plans. We also continue to seek transparency and improved communication. Consider this community as a whole and implement more transparent practices to keep the community informed and engaged rather than unenlightened, unaware, uninformed, and divided. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Just clarifying, do you have a child at Heather Hill Elementary? The principal's been sending out updates on the project, so just want to point that out. So you seem to get that information from. Appreciate it. Welcome, Mother Diva.
Good evening, distinguished board and mayor. My name is Valencia Dansler, affectionately known by my stage name Mother Diva, and I have been a Flossmoor resident off and on for approximately 25 years. And today I came to the city council meeting because I wanted to present an idea for September 28th, an opportunity for Flossmoor, particularly you, Mayor, to make history. In 2016, I was diagnosed with a severe sinus disease, which caused dizziness and also vertigo, because dizziness and vertigo are kind of two different things. I did various tests, and it was decided that I should go see the neurologist. So the neurologist did various tests on me and discovered that it wasn't anything wrong with my balance in terms of the physicality. There was a diagnosis of neuropathy. So she said, I'm gonna order an MRI. She ordered an MRI, and what was discovered on the MRI is called an incidental finding. I was diagnosed with a mild case of a condition called Chiari malformation. Chiari malformation is a condition that affects about 1 in 1,000 people. It occurs when the cerebellum, a part of the brain, bulges into the spinal canal through the opening of the base of the skull. It can cause neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, dizziness, sleep apnea, and low heart rate, which I had all of those symptoms, but my doctor said the sleep apnea came from the weight. I lost the weight, but I had a low heart rate, and that could have been because I was also born with the hole in the heart that never closed. All babies are born with holes in their hearts that mine never closed. So I have been a Chiari warrior since 2017, and I recently looked up the walk. There's a Chiari walk every year to spread awareness. And the walk happened to be this year, September 21st, and also September 28th. So I looked on the website and noticed that there was not a walk registered for Illinois or Indiana. And I was like, wow, we're having a little festival on September 28th. So I am asking you, Mayor Nelson, if we can incorporate a walk for Chiari on September 28th. Perhaps we can walk over to the event or use the Oktoberfest walkthrough as the walk for Chiari. So that is my request, and thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Mother Diva, I appreciate that. I will definitely look into this. I don't know that we have time to organize a walk. These things.
It's just me and three people and you just walk down. That's it.
I walk all the time. So let me look into this, and I'm glad you're feeling better too. Thank you. That's all I have for public comment, unless there's somebody else in the audience that would like to make a public comment. Great. Seeing none, can I get a motion to, thank you so much for those comments. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Is there anything anybody would like to hold off for discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Rogabo, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Next up is reports of commissions, and I don't have any formal reports, but I do want to point out that this weekend, September 21st, Saturday, is Recyclepalooza. And again, from 9 a.m. till noon, they will be taking your recycled goods over at Parker Junior High. And we really appreciate all the volunteers who come out, including kiddos from Homewood-Flossmoor High School and Parker Junior High. So get your stuff out there.
That's a great question. For televisions, they do accept stream televisions, but there's a fee, correct?
Correct.
But that fee is less than what it normally is other places.
The first time this year, there's no fee. Last time, oh wow.
Yes, we're working with the Charm Center at South Suburban College, and there's no fee for TVs.
Fantastic.
I'll be around.
Thank you. All right, next up, can I get a motion to approve, a motion to approve the rejection of the bids for the fiscal year 2025 sidewalk replacement program?
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. We have our Assistant Director of Public Works, Dan Nolandich. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Good evening, Mayor. Included in this year's budget is $100,000 for the sidewalk replacement program. The project is picking up where the last project left off, replacing sidewalk on Flossmoor Road between Village Hall and Grassy Avenue. as well as a few miscellaneous locations which were on our in-house sidewalk repair list. 8 sets of bid documents were sent out, an ad was placed in the paper, and bids were posted on publicnoticeillinois.com. On September 9th, the bids were opened and were higher than both our estimate and our approved budget. The average unit price for sidewalk removal and replacement was $19.83. Our estimate was $13.50 per square foot and was based on the concrete prices that we had received for this year's MFT resurfacing project, which was awarded in June. With that in mind, staff feels we should reject the bids for the project and go back out to bid with a new completion date in the spring and reduced quantities. Reducing the quantities will prevent us from potentially going over budget if we do receive higher prices again. However, if we receive favorable unit prices, we can easily increase the quantities and get more work done. And pushing the completion date back to spring could potentially attract contractors whose schedules for the remainder of this year might be tight. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. About how many companies picked up bid packages?
8.
Any feedback from the 2 that responded on why the quantity pricing was so high?
I did not get any feedback on them. I did get a feedback from a contractor who did not bid. There was some human error there, did not receive the email supposedly, but stated that with a spring completion date that their prices would be significantly lower than what we had obtained.
And are we doing any grinding or patching along that stretch since we can't get that work done now?
We could, but we weren't planning on doing that. It's a pretty significant effort. Although if there were any significant displacements, we would definitely tackle those. What's existing there now are minor trip hazards, cracks, etc. But we can definitely take a look at it again in this fall to make sure that there's nothing that's of obvious hazard to anybody.
Thanks. I'm thinking specifically the squares in front of the Brown building, in the building, not the Brown building, the building next door, where the clothier shop is. There's some, Valentino's.
Okay. We'll take a look at that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll, any comments or questions?
No, I agree with your analysis completely. Take a pause, rebid the spring, and as already said, there's 8 potential contractors next year, so we should get a better price.
Yes. Thank you.
Trustee Day.
Yeah, so in your experience, only having 2 of the 8 packets submitting back bids, is that why our price was so high? We just didn't have enough people that someone would come in at a lower number? I mean, it's hard to believe that a 40% increase in concrete over 3 months.
I think our last bid, or rather our last project, we had 3 that returned bids. So it's not unusual. I just think, unfortunately, the contractors had their schedules booked out, which happens, and that was the reason that we had those prices so high.
Yeah, and it's good to know that you use the resurfacing numbers. That's where you got your papers, which was just in June. So
Yeah.
just 3 months, it's like shouldn't be 40% higher. So
No.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the recommendation as well.
Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
Out of curiosity, if we have minor projects or significant projects to complete that are causing trip hazards, where does that money come from? Will it come from this $100,000 that we've allocated, or is there a separate fund for the smaller projects?
So just, you're talking about sidewalk repairs in general?
Right.
Yeah, we do have money allotted for concrete work, and I forgot the exact funds that those are in, but there's a couple of lines that we're able to use in order to get that work done. Whether it's residents bringing it to our attention or our own employees seeing it out in the field.
Okay. So next year we'll still have this $100,000 to work with when we rebid the project.
Yeah, we were thinking about rebidding it actually fairly soon with this new date and reduced quantities, but just with that new date, the contractors will be able to get that work done in the spring. So the idea is to have this $100,000 for that this fiscal year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mustafa.
Good.
Alright,
RFP versus 545 and 430. You've seen the chart. The numbers don't correlate or
Right.
don't seem to match in any regard.
Right. Yeah, and again, so the engineer estimate, which is John, these were the numbers that we received in the MFT resurfacing
Well, I'll
project.
revise my question since I know it's, no.
No, so all of these numbers were used in the MFT project. And there might be a bigger disparity just because there were only 2 contractors. If you were to extrapolate that amongst 5 or 6, that number might not be so great in terms of differences.
But you're gonna look at that as part of the process, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna take these numbers and use that to adjust our quantities, and now we're gonna be assuming, although we've been told perhaps we're gonna get lower prices, we're gonna assume that's not the case, and we're gonna get higher prices. So we're gonna adjust our quantities to make sure that if we do get those higher prices, we will definitely come below our $100,000 approved budget. And if we don't get those prices, we get more favorable prices, then we'll just up the quantities and get additional work done.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and maybe not necessarily in this order, but I'll read through all the questions and then you decide how you.
Sure.
So can you give more detail to the changes that might be in scope of the project?
Sure.
And, maybe the question of quantities falls within that explanation of scope. Also, when you rebid in a case like this, do you change the RFP to refine or fine tune? And then what are you really expecting to receive so that you can move forward with the project?
Sure. So the change in quantities will be primarily sidewalk. The sidewalk that we were looking at is the miscellaneous locations, the ones that were on our in-house list that have been brought to our attention by residents. Those were the first ones, since we're really trying to get down Flossmoor Road as it receives much more pedestrian traffic. So in our adjusted numbers, the 4 or 5 locations that were in other parts of the village, those would be the first ones that would be reduced and removed. I'm sorry, there was other questions that I'm not going to remember. I apologize.
That's the detail within the scope.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, would you do any other revisions to the bid
Right.
specs? Would you do anything else to make sure, or not make sure, but to give a better chance of a project moving forward?
Right, no, well, we're going to be reducing the scope. We're going to be changing the date. It had a date, I forgot now the exact date, but a late fall completion date. And by pushing that forward to spring, contractors who have pretty much their schedule intact for the year will now have an opportunity to get it done the first day next year. And then we'll of course send it not only to the plan holders who received it, but we'll also try to find another few contractors based on some recommendations from neighboring communities, so we can get a bigger net out there to catch more contractors interested.
Thank you, that helps me a lot, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Trustee Myers.
I think it's a good logical rejection, and it makes sense, and I appreciate you guys thinking that way. Whenever we go to lower quantities and the price is favorable to us, we always get more of it, so we're
Right.
kind of fortunate to do that, whether it's asphalt or concrete, so, good job.
Thank you. Trustee Lofton.
I agree with the rejection as well. The question I had with regard to the MFT resurfacing project, we had a number that we came up with, and I think you said it was based on concrete, cost of concrete.
Correct.
Are these other prices that we got from them was the same way?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood.
So when you say cost of concrete, you're talking labor and materials, or just the cost of concrete?
It's the unit price that the contractor is putting forward for both the removal of the concrete as well as the replacement of the concrete.
The numbers are just 40%.
Correct.
I think what Trustee Lofton's trying to get at, is it just the material that's driving this number up, or is it a combination of material and labor?
That's exactly right, yeah.
Certainly concrete has been going up significantly over the years. I'm not sure if that's a factor in this particular case. I think it's more or less the contractors probably just have enough work for the year. So they're throwing a bigger number out there to see if we're willing to bite. And in this particular instance, we'd rather just pass on that and get that better number by pushing forward.
Right. Thank you so much. Clerk McGowan, would you please call the roll on the approval of the rejection of the bids for the fiscal year 2025 sidewalk replacement program?
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott. Trustee Decker.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll. Motion passes.
Thank you so much. We do need to go into executive session, but before that, I'll go ahead and call for other business. And then when we come out of executive session, we will immediately adjourn. So if you want to wait, you're welcome to wait. Or if you want to just go home, you're welcome to do that too. We appreciate you being here though. First up, Trustee Mustafa.
I just have one question out of curiosity, and that's about the drones. And then my other question, I'll do the drones second. Okay. So my other question, Mayor, is regarding all the commissions. Do we have a full complement of commissioners for all of our commissions?
No, not right now.
Okay, so can you just share which commissions that would be?
Sure. So, Community Relations Commission, there are several openings there that we're working on filling. We've had a lot of interviews. Do we have any comments?
Scott, do we have an opening on zoning board of appeals right now?
There's one opening of zoning.
So does the zoning opening, you still have a quorum though?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but with the CRC, you're waiting to fill, so you have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
No, we don't currently have one. We are down to, well, 5 members, but only 4 who are present.
Yeah, on paper we have a quorum.
So we have a quorum, but we just don't.
We're missing one person.
One person doesn't show up
attends.
regularly.
Who doesn't really attend, so we're making sure that, yeah.
And you've done interviews and that's encouraging, it's good, because this is, from my experience and from talking to the commissioners, this is a really busy time with all of the events coming up for the end of the year. Do you expect that they'll have a quorum so that they can meet in September? I know that would be just next week.
No, because you have to approve the person who's going on.
This is our second meeting, right?
Correct. I expect either the first or the second meeting in October to be able to have a slate of folks. Currently, there are 5 folks who we're talking with for the 4 openings.
Okay, that's good, because it really affects their ability to plan their involvement for the rest of the year. So
Yeah.
that's good news.
Great.
Thank you. Now the drone question. Just out of curiosity, can you give examples of how the drones that you're contemplating would be used? I'm just curious, very much in support of the whole idea.
That's a great question, Trustee. So the drones we've seen coming into public safety really probably over the last 7 to 10 years. And I think at first a lot of us were really waiting to see how this technology was really going to be used, kind of in that first responder, let's just say playbook, maybe it's not the tool in the toolbox. But what we've seen over the last 7 to 10 years is just how much they can actually expand our operation. We actually had one in town here about a month and a half ago for a lost civilian who wandered away with a mental condition, and the drone was able to locate very quickly. There was another incident just down south 2 weeks ago in which the drone got on scene, was able to pinpoint with about 20 to 30 minutes of actually airtime after about 4 to 5 hours of search and rescue operations on the ground. So they really have unlimited capabilities. So what we're looking at, the drones are looking at specific, are really the lenses capability, thermal capabilities, brush fire, structure fire, search and rescue operations. I mean, we've even seen them used for people who lost their dog. Sounds simple, but anybody who's lost a dog or a loved one, it's amazing the visibility and capabilities of the current drone technology. So we're really excited to bring this in. It's going to be great for the community. It's going to be a regional asset for all of Cook County. On top of that, we're looking at the final stages of training at this point, which we have two different options, which we're looking at doing, is to make sure all the pilots are FAA certified, and then making sure we're in compliance with all the regulations. So we're looking to have at least one operator from each shift, and we've actually had conversations with the police department as well as getting additional training for additional drones.
Thank you for that. That's intriguing. And when I talk to you again, I'd really love to hear more. So when you say there'd be one operator?
So we're looking to have 24/7 coverage. So one shift personnel per day will be certified as a pilot.
Oh, pilot.
And
You
the
call it
drone will
a
be
pilot.
available 24/7 to be deployed.
So are the pilots part of your existing department already?
Correct. We just have to get them trained up and certified to operate.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you, trustee Breatherstaff.
No questions or comments.
Thank you, trustee Daggett.
Yeah, so just following up on trustee Mustafa's questions, do you know what the range of the, do you know the general range of the drones that you guys are possible to get?
I know we demoed some. I'm not the tech guy with the drones. Just when I sighted to get the program off the ground, no pun intended. But the one that I got to fly was, I couldn't even tell you, trustee, the range. It was absolutely mind-blowing to me, the technology that these current drones have. AC Works done a lot of research, and we do have one specific brand I can give you that we pretty much dialed in to what we want. But I want to say the range was, it was a couple miles. I think 3 or 4 miles if I'm based off what he said.
I asked, so part of it's curiosity, but part of it is also to help understand the scope of how effective these things can be. So I have one that is a small one that's like $1,000, and it's 4 miles I can fly it. So then for these to have infrared or thermal on it, the ability to find someone at night, the ability to look through a roof to see where's a hot spot where you might not be able to get an angle from the ground when you're FLIR, those are all very, very beneficial. So I'm excited for the program. And I geek out on this stuff too, so I'm excited to see the thing actually operate. But that's very cool. So, yeah, that's all I have on that. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Thank you, trustee Driscoll.
I just want to thank the fire and police departments for their help with the IJP block party Saturday. Fire departments out there with trucks, all the kids, moms and dads climbing all over it. It was fantastic, great opportunity. Police department was there, doing the same thing, providing security, the perfect weather, perfect night. Just want to say thank you for that. And then second, just a reminder, we have the Knights of Columbus Intellectual Disability Tootsie Roll Drive Friday and Saturday of this week. So we'll have volunteers out at Flossmoor and Sterling both days. So if you go by, be careful if you're standing out there soliciting donations, but get a Tootsie Roll and please contribute. All the money goes to local charitable organizations that support adults and children with intellectual disabilities, and of course supports the Illinois Special Olympics.
Will you be out there?
I'm the chairman, so I'll be on duty from Thursday night until Sunday. Every day.
Thank you, trustee Driscoll. Trustee Lofton.
No questions or comments.
Thank you, trustee Mike.
I have nothing.
Clerk McGowan. Village Attorney.
I want to remind what's coming to election season. We have, we are coming into election season, and we have a resolution on file that we adopted several years ago that restricts political speeches. This is our village board meeting. And our experience was in the background where there were a lot of candidates for judicial positions and lesser known positions that wanted to use our village board as a platform because of the wonderful coverage we get. So we did adopt a resolution to try to maintain our village board meetings for you to discuss village board matters. So I'm hoping that the public will respect that position so that we won't have any need to remind people. Thank you.
Thank you. Village Manager Barton.
Nothing.
Thank you. I just want to wish everybody happy Hispanic Heritage Month, and we have had a great time celebrating and partnering with different organizations throughout the community over the past 3 years. This year is no different. We're partnering with Flossmoor Public Library on Thursday night, starting at 6 p.m. inside the library. There's a special performance by Mariachi Traditional Juvenile, and really excited about seeing that. So thank you so much to our events coordinator, Stephanie Wright, for helping bring that forward. Let's see, also Oktoberfest is going to be on September 28th. Please check the website for more information. Thank you to all of the partners who are helping that day. There's a great educational piece for kids in the morning and then a party for everybody in the evening. So I hope you'll come out and join us and check that out. I want to give a shout out to Public Works. The street resurfacing is going well. I had a resident actually do drone footage set to music about the resurfacing project in front of their house. So much appreciated. And Bromley, from Friday night before the gem on September 6th to September 7th, it felt like running down the Emerald Isle. I don't know, it was amazing, all of the finishing work that was done over there, and it looks gorgeous. I know they're still doing punch list over there, but it really looks fantastic. So thank you so much, and please tell everybody back to shop that we appreciate their work as well. Hidden Gem Half Marathon was another huge success. Just the social media, the folks around the world who were talking about being in our village and the goals that they accomplished, finishing, some got PRs. Really great day. Thank you, Eric Crump and the Homewood-Flossmoor Chronicle for recapping the neighborhood participation, just phenomenal. And if you haven't seen it, twice within the past couple of months, Chicago Magazine has featured the village of Flossmoor. And in the September issue, Tom Dobrez, the executive director of the Hidden Gem Half Marathon, talks about the shops on Sterling, specifically Ruby Ellis Sweets, which is one of the fantastic shops in our downtown area, plus the Flossmoor Sculpture Park, Homewood-Flossmoor's High School on campus, which is a really fun time for our runners, a crowd favorite, and then Flossmoor Station. So I want to thank Tom Dobrez for his work on the Hidden Gem Half Marathon, and then also getting us our second feature in Chicago Magazine within a couple of months. It's kind of a big deal. Anyway, I'm going to ask for a motion to go in. Thank you, also thank you, appreciate you. I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Thank you so much. Clerk O'Donnell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Musafa. Trustee Gregory Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.